So hello, everyone. This is Dr. B from Steps to the Future, coming to you with another Facebook Live this week. This is College Conversation, so you want to be an actor. I am so thrilled to have the guest that we have tonight. It's someone that I've known for a number of years, but I haven't seen him in a while. And actually, my son was instrumental in helping set up this particular interview. So I'm thrilled that we're able to be here this evening. So I'm going to bring my guest on the screen. You guys know the routine. You know that, I interview the guest. We have a chat. We have a conversation. And towards the end, I will show a book that I think is appropriate for us to be thinking about right now. So I definitely want you to be paying attention to that. But I am so thrilled to bring our guest on. So I'm going to bring him on the screen now. And I am thrilled that we have here with us Anthony Goss. I always knew him as Ant back in the day. Anthony is a graduate of Bridgewater State College, which is now Bridgewater State University. He has a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Finance. And then he went on to Northeastern and received Master of Science in Business Administration. But one of the things that I really love about Ant's story is that he ended up following his passion. And I know we use that word passion so much, but it's definitely one of those things that this is one of those stories that for all of you out there that are still trying to figure out what it is you want to do, and you figure, okay, if I major in this, then this is what I need to do for the rest of my life. I want you to really pay attention and listen closely. So Ant, tell us a little bit about who you are growing up before you even went to Bridgewater.
Before I went to Bridgewater, I grew up in Boston, in the city of Boston. And they, like any other kid, I love sports, and sports was just a big part of my life. And I happened to go to a MECO school where, they take kids from the inner city and they bus them to, the suburbs. And there I kind of got this idea that, I want to go to college and using sports, and I was able to go to Bridgewater after that. But like anybody, I just love sports growing up, and that helped me to get into school and kind of find what I wanted to do.
Okay. So tell me, so why Bridgewater?
That's a good question. I have no idea. It's a lot of things. One, Bridgewater, when I was playing basketball, I had a great relationship with one of the assistant coaches who were recruiting, Coach Donovan. He was instrumental because he just had a great energy, and my mom loved him. Initially, and I was going to go to like a HBCU. I was thinking like North Carolina A&T or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to go down there. Just because I wanted that experience coming from a MECO program. I kind of wanted to be immersed in like some culture, and the opportunity to play basketball, the opportunity to stay close to home, because being one of the first to go to college and for a 4-year degree, and just being close to my family, because I'm very close to my family. I wanted to stay close to home and play ball and do what I love, and because of that, I decided to go at Bridgewater, and it was not too far. And it's a great program there.
Okay. So that's good. So tell me about your time at Bridgewater.
Bridgewater. I loved it. It grew on me. Initially, initially I had to, it was some growing pains just to find my footing. In terms of athletics, in terms of the demand of school. I didn't realize how demanding or, how responsible initially when I first got there with basketball. But just being on the basketball team, being surrounded by others kind of gave me a little comfort. And it was challenging, but I love the idea of learning, and I love the community. I love the different people I was able to meet. I met so many great people who are still my friends today, and it pushed me. It showed me the possibilities, what I can do.
Okay. So what I remember about you, so like I said earlier, for those that are just joining in, I've known Ant when he started college, because he was actually a suite mate with my son at Bridgewater State College. and they were both on the basketball team. But Ant was the quietest person on the team. He was the one that wasn't talking that much, and it was always quiet. So tell me about, how did you decide to major in accounting and finance? What was it about those that attracted you to that?
That's a great question, because in high school, I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't know what I was going to do in terms of athletics, in terms of the demand of school. I didn't know what I was going to do in high school. So in picking a major, I was like, hey, what do I want to do when I get out of college, and what can I be good at? And business and finance was something that I figured would be beneficial to me and my family when I graduated.
Okay.
So that's why I chose that particular major, and I stuck with it, and it was very interesting to me. I loved it. I loved to study. I loved everything about it, and I just thought it was a great career field to get into. Because in high school, I didn't have any idea, really, honestly, what I was going to major in. I didn't know.
Okay. All right. So tell me about being on the basketball team. How did that fit into your plans?
That was a big part of everything for me. Sports has it just grounded me in such a way. If I look back, some of my fondest memories are through sports. Just traveling basketball or Pop Warner. I always remember coaches or players, and Bridgewater. Those are some of my best memories on the basketball court, because you form this bond with people for 4 years or even longer, and you have these great moments, and you go through so much challenges, and it's everybody's working together for a common goal. And we had great coaching staffs, me and Dwayne and the whole team, and we accomplished so much in those 4 years, and it really teaches you about. I think it just develops you as a person outside of just athletics. It taught me how to be responsible. Waking up early was something I did, but just showing up to practices and taking care of your body and holding yourself accountable and holding each other accountable. Sports really is something that it teaches you how to live good lives. And it was one of my favorite moments in college, was just playing on the basketball court, playing those games and winning and losing and learning from those experiences, and forming brotherhood and bonds with people that we have forever. So it was great.
Yeah, I remember sitting up in the bleachers at all of those home games, trying to be a good fan, trying not to be that mother that was out there screaming at the top of her lungs.
It's hard.
I know, it was hard. We have a comment from someone out here in the audience, Bettina.
Oh.
Yes.
Good.
So thank you, Bettina, for joining in. We definitely appreciate it. Appreciate it.
That's funny.
So, Ant, tell me about. So once you graduated from Bridgewater, what was it that you went on to do?
So after Bridgewater, I got my degree in accounting and finance, and I was like, all right, what am I going to do? Because you get your degree and now you got to go into the workforce. So it's like, for me, what I did during college was I interned. I interned. So I was able to translate that internship into a job upon graduation. I interned at a place called MFS, Investment Management. It's in Boston. I was very blessed and fortunate for the opportunity and the people I met. And then I just worked in accounting and finance, doing the business work. And then I decided I wanted to go to school, because all along I knew there was something else, but I just didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just kind of played my role, so to speak, and did what I was supposed to do. Just because, I wanted to be successful, I wanted to have a career, and I thought, that was the path, and it was good.
Okay. So how long did you do did you work for that company?
So I worked for MFS and right after State Street. So it was about 2 years after graduation. 2 years, yeah, about 2 years of learning a lot, what I liked and what I didn't, and it was good experience.
So what did you like about that field? What did you like about the work you were doing?
The work, I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed figuring things out. I was just curious. I enjoyed the feeling of, being responsible and learning. And the business excited me because it was always changing. So just the changing pace of business and learning about how the world works. I also was able to study economics in college. So I tutored economics in college, and that intrigued me how big the world was, because the world to me was always so small, because when you grow up, you just think you don't know that there's a whole world. There's a whole world out there, this financial world. There's all these markets, there's people in different places and how it affects you. And I was interested in that world that I never knew about growing up in the city. And it kind of pushed me to kind of always want to know, like, be in the loop of business. So that drove me into that field. And what I liked about it was learning and being able to learn about the world and how business, is affected.
Okay. So then you went on to Northeastern. So how did that come about? What made you choose to do that?
That came about purely wanting to develop. I was going to get a master's in. So when I was at Bridgewater, one of the professors, whose name is escaping me, he encouraged me to do economics. And I was going to go straight to Northeastern after to study economics, to get like an MBA or something. And in my heart, I was like, I don't know if I want to just be doing this. I was conflicted. So I said, let me wait to decide. And I'm thankful that I did wait, because I think if I would have went to immediately, I would have just stuck at it. And then Northeastern was always in my mind. So I was kind of needing something to pique my curiosity, and I wanted to learn, and work was getting stale. And I was like, I could be learning something different. And I liked school. I started to develop. I really love learning. And Northeastern was a great college, and I decided to just go and further my education. And at that time, and that's how that came about. Just, curiosity, wanting to learn and just better myself as a professional.
Okay. So now you graduate from Northeastern, and what do you do immediately after? Are you still working at the same company, or did you change companies?
I was still working at the same company.
Okay.
I was still working at the same company. I was going to classes at night, figuring out my life. But I stayed with the same company. I didn't move anywhere. Until I graduated, then I made a decision after that. So
once you graduated, what was that decision that you made? What was it that you were doing then?
That at that point, I reached kind of like a crossroads, because I was starting to feel like I didn't want to do this forever. And going to Northeastern actually kind of opened me up a little bit, because you're meeting people from all over the world. So I was in these group discussions with people from all different parts of the world, and I realized that I really love to engage with different people. And I was learning different skills that I didn't have, that I didn't think I had in undergrad or in high school. So afterwards, it kind of got me thinking about, what do I want to do, and where can I best utilize my skills and my passions and combine it with business. So at that point, I was making decisions about where I wanted to go. And actually, I'm glad, after I graduated, where I wanted to go, I left State Street. Actually, I left the company.
After I graduated. Sorry, I'm over here messing around with the phone and doing little crazy things. So tell me, so now you're in finance, You've got your master's in business administration. How did you make that leap? What, tell me what was the thought process? How did that, because to go from business administration, a world of finance, a world of accounting, a world of economics, to what you're doing now, help set that up for me. Help us see that.
Oh man. I often, to be honest, still today, I really think about it because I don't know where the urge, I've always been curious, but I do know some turning points that happened. And specifically, I remember in a summer, one of my closest friends, Nubi Rateau, was doing from Bridgewater State. So these are like my friend from Bridgewater State, who was a friend of mine. We went to the same college, and he would do documentaries. And, I would go and watch his work or help him. And one day he asked me to be a part of his documentary about fatherhood. And then his documentary did so well. It was called Step Up. And the next thing you know, he's like, hey, man, I'm going to film festivals. And I'm like, film festivals? Okay, let me go see what this is about. And then we go to California, and, and I love the atmosphere. I love the collaboration. I always loved films. And once I seen all these films and all these filmmakers and these actors and directors, I was like in awe. And it brought me back to like when I was younger, and I would always like watch movies with my uncle, and my uncle was a big movie guy, and we were always like talking like movie quotes, and he was a big inspiration for why I liked film growing up. And I remember in high school, I took a Shakespeare class, and I liked it, but I didn't tell anybody because it wasn't something that I was exposed to, but I really liked it quietly, and so it just awakened those desires in me. When I came back, I immediately enrolled in a class called Company One. They was doing professional theater in Boston.
Okay.
And I just went on there by myself, and I said, hey, any acting programs going on in Boston? It was this particular Company One theater. They asked for a monologue. And I'm doing this quietly because I'm not sure. So I'm doing this by myself, and I'm doing this while I still work my regular job. And they say, yeah, sure, come audition, do a monologue. And I'm like, what's a monologue? In my mind, I'm like, what's a monologue? So I get this like Fresh Prince monologue and I go there and I like bomb it. And they were so gracious to me. Rosalind and Victoria Thomas, I believe, they were so gracious. And I went home and I was like, I'm just going to go to work and kind of like, just forget about it. And I remember getting an email talking about, hey, we want to, have you in the program. And I remember that moment, I was like, oh snap. And then this is crazy. And then I was like so excited, and then I went to the class. It was 8 weeks. I learned so much about acting. And it was like, I'm going to work and I'm going to this program at night. And I was coming to work so happy and so full because they gave me like scripts to read and characters. And I just remember falling in love. And then I took another 8 weeks, and they was pushing me, and I loved the work what I was doing. And then I decided in my heart, I was like, this is what I want to do. I think this is what my voice is telling me to do. And even though I've always been quiet or shy, I feel like we always have a voice. It's just trying to figure out how to use it. And I found out how to use it because theater and like characters kind of molded me in a way. And then I just said, yeah, I'm going with acting.
Okay. So for those of you that are just joining in, we are with Anthony Goss, finance accounting major, business administration turned actor. So please make sure if you have any questions or comments, throw them up there in the comment section. I'd love to see some of those emojis for people that are watching, for a little bit of love out there so we know, and make sure you're sharing this out with people. This is a great story because, I work with high school students, daily. And so many of my kids right now are in the process of applying to colleges. and they get so hung up on majors. Oh, I have to know what I'm doing because if I go to college and I'm undeclared, then I'm just wasting my time.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Ant is sharing with folks is so important because it's letting students know that it's okay to change your mind. It
Mm.
really is. It really is. So, Ant, this is what I want to know. What did your mom say when you told her?
You know, this is the trick. I had to make the decision first and sneak to New York during work to and enroll in a program before I can get the guts to tell her. Um, so the whole time I was making sure there was no turning back before I told her, because I know she wants the best for me and I know she loves me, but it's kind of weird for me to just be all of a sudden become an actor. So initially she was shocked. She was like, "What?" Like, like anybody would be.
Right.
She was just shocked. Like, boy, listen, what acting? Like, you got a degree in accounting and finance, and you about to go act? Like, you about to do that? What's? And I just was like, I know. In my heart, I was like, this sounds crazy, but I don't know. I just knew I had to do it. And initially, she was kind of shocked, but she's come around.
Okay. Okay. So what was the class that you enrolled in when you went to New York? What was it? What was that program?
That program was the Stella Adler Studio of Acting in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great program, theater program mostly. And I enrolled in there and went in headstrong.
And how did you find that program?
Research. To be honest, I don't want to say this, but while I'm working, I was working, meaning even though I was working in the field that I was working in, I was researching relentlessly on how I can get to the next step. So it was like, what classes can I take? What teachers are available to me? Where would I live? And this is all while I'm working a normal job. And I was just researching. I was learning the history of acting. I was learning what teachers. I was like, where do I want to be? So I was just relentless in figuring everything out, all the details of how I can make this happen, because it was such a big step. So while I was working, just planning and plotting and figuring out all the steps I needed to take, to get to that next level. So that I wouldn't have any, qualms about it.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, because what I love about what you just said is that you didn't just jump into this without giving it much thought. The questions that you just posed are the types of questions that I'm hoping students are asking themselves as they're just moving through the process of even applying to college, once they get in college, once they, graduate, just really making sure they're doing, I love that you said, do your research.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't just jump in there saying, all right, I'm just going to jump in here and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You research where to live,
Yeah.
what teachers were available to you, what classes were out there, what was the next step, but you kept your day job. You kept your day job. Yes, that is so, so, so important. So, what was it like when you first moved to New York and started taking these classes?
It was like a whole new world opened up to me. I was being exposed to something I felt like I was always wanted to be exposed to. And it was confirmation when I first got in taking the classes, just because they asked you about, who you were. And it's interesting because when you get away, when I was doing the classes, I felt like I had a whole new beginning. Like I was this new person and nobody knew me. So I was able to kind of dive in and without feeling like, oh, this isn't right. I was able to just be and explore. And it was like a whole new world for me. And it just kind of ignited a passion and just lit a fire. And I just was learning and researching and learning as much as possible about everything. I kind of just applied what I learned in college to acting. And that's why people ask about college and they're like, you're an actor, you went to college. They don't even know sometimes I studied or anything because it's New York. But, you know, those skills that I learned in college and kind of applied to acting in a weird way. I don't know. It transferred over.
Yes, yes. I love that. Transferable skills. I always talk to students about that because people think, well, if I learned these particular skills and acquire this knowledge in one situation, that I can't use it in another situation. And that is so false.
Yeah.
Everything that we learn about, so you learned a strong work ethic in college. You learned about, by being part of the basketball team, there was great team building, great camaraderie, great accountability. And those are all skills that move back. And with the majors that you had and moving on to get a master's degree, again, time management, learning how to learn, being curious about things. So when you talked about going out and doing research first, that was something that you learned through your college. So transferable skills really do exist, folks. So one of the things that we learn, we take those things with us wherever we go. So I love that story. Yeah, I really love it. So tell me, when you first moved there and you started out, how did you live? How did you take care of yourself?
I learned I tell you, truthfully, it wasn't easy.
Okay.
It just wasn't easy. And it's any person moving to New York, they want to pursue artists or anything. It was a challenge for me initially because just being away from family, being close to my family, being away. And then New York is just everybody's just so go. And, New York is expensive. And artistry, when you're first starting, they say you don't really make any money. And it was tough. I will say when I first started, even up until a few years, I really grew up during that process as a man because I learned about resiliency. I learned how to just grow up and just handle your business. And, I cut off the parachute back home because I didn't want any excuses to go back. So no matter what I faced here in New York, as the artistry and the idea of learning and the idea of something else being out there and not giving up on my dream kind of made me get over those hard times where I don't think I would have gotten over without just support from family and just, faith. My faith is, very important to me. But yeah, it took a lot. It took a lot to get to those tough times, which helped me be anything that I could be.
Okay. So you talked about tough times. Do you want to share any of those tough times?
Woo! Listen. Listen. I probably share a common New York story. I'll share one story where, my close friend, and all the time there's confirmations going on. But one of my close friends, Newbie, came to visit me, and this is early when I first was living in Harlem, and we go out, and when we come back at night, my ceiling above my bed collapsed while I was out. So basically this whole piece of wood fell where my pillow was. And I'm like, thank God I was out. So then I had to relocate. Then, you got to sleep over here, maybe at a friend's. And then you're sleeping on some other place. And then you're subletting over here. And then it's winter time. And then, you got to find a job to survive. So, and then I got to go audition. So you find a job that pays you decent. Even though you're qualified to be an accountant, you have to pretend you're not qualified so you can get certain jobs. And then you work those certain jobs, but then those certain jobs say, hey, you got to work 20 hours, 25 hours. And I'm like, but I got to audition. I don't know where to go. I got to run it all. So then they fire you because you're not committed to working this part-time job. So then you don't have a job, but you're running to auditions that you might not even get. So then you're like, well, what do I do? So, and then you got to still pay. It's so humbling, but like I said, I appreciate it because it feeds your artistry and it just feeds you as a man. I think that's what makes you, or any person, it just feeds you as a human being when you're going through things. Because it's not for you it's not for you. It's for whatever happens after. It's not for me. It's for whoever else, whatever I can do. So it taught me a lot, really. I'm still learning a lot, but those experiences were something that shaped me greatly, and I'm proud of them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I hear, when you said earlier about it helped you grow up, that is definitely a grown-up experience. That is definitely an experience that seems like it tested you in every way possible. But again, that resilience, that perseverance, that determination, that grit, somewhere in you, you knew this is what you were meant to do, and you just had to stick with it. So that's really great. So tell us about the acting classes in the program that you're in. What kind of things did they have you doing in the acting classes?
We do improvisational to help you get into character. So you take an imaginary situation and you just improv it without lines. You do acting technique. You do scene study. So what a student can expect is like scene study, where you'll get, a script or a play, and you and a fellow actor, actress will work through that script to get to all those moments to kind of tell the truth in the scene. You do monologues where you just, one person, just myself, talking to an audience. So those are like the main classes: scene study, monologues, improv. You do voice and speech. So as an actor, your voice and the way you speak is very important. So we have to work on, certain drills. And then we did movement, where, you move to certain colors or you move to certain sounds, and you learn how to really just be in your body and respond non-verbally or with physicality. So those are some of the main courses you take. And then you take film study, where you're working with a camera.
That all sounds so interesting. I'm just still like amazed because, like I said, knowing you back at Bridgewater, this is not what I thought you would be doing. And I remember when Dwayne told me that, I don't know if he sent me a text or he sent me something, and I'm like, well, who's that? He goes, that's it. I'm like, what's he doing? I'm like, really? I said, how did that come about? So, like your mom, I was shocked also, but
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. So how do you go about getting work? How does that happen? I mean, I have no idea how people do that. We see what we see on movies and what have you, but so what is that like?
First, starting off is a grind. Any person if you go to theater school, or if you're somebody who just like moving from a different state, it's a grind. You go to open calls. You look at websites that have that put up audition notices, and you just show up. If it's theater and you're not an equity theater person, so it's like a union, and some people are in union, some people aren't. And you have to work your way up. So if you're non-union, you kind of have to wait for hours to hopefully audition.
Okay.
So it's tough. And then some of it's word of mouth, and then some of it's online, just hustling, looking at postings until you get an agent. That's kind of how you do it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your first job? Your first job.
My first job, Like my first job in New York was like a stagehand,
Okay.
and that's nothing. That's like holding props. And like, but my first job, I was fortunate enough. My first theater job was when I with the company that I first started learning acting from, Company One.
Okay.
I was doing small stuff in New York, like stage readings,
Okay.
but they had a play that they were doing in New York City, and the company that I was working with as an actor in development, I auditioned for a role and I happened to do it. And so I was in Boston, so that to me was like a coming full circle experience, being able to do that theater with the company I worked with before.
Okay. Okay. So tell us about some of the work that you've done in the past few years.
Yeah, it's been a nice journey. Definitely, I started in theater because I wanted to just learn as much as possible about the craft. I love the stage. I love that interaction with the audience, and I love sharing moments on stage with other people. So I've been doing a lot of theater work, a lot of off Broadway, off Broadway, a lot of independent films I've been doing. Some of my most, I think one of the turning points for me as an actor and as a person was just doing a play that I still do. We do off Broadway called Black Angels over Tuskegee. And that's about the Tuskegee Airmen and their perseverance and their trials and how they overcame. And it's a play they were doing, a couple years, but I happened to audition and get it. And it's off Broadway, and it's a great play. The writer Leon Gray and the other guys that I act with, still to this day, if we weren't in a pandemic, we probably would still be doing it right now off Broadway. And the way this play touches so many people every time, it never gets old. I mean, we travel all over the world for this particular play. And it's probably one of the turning points in my professional career and as a man, because of the brotherhood that I have with these guys who I take the stage with every day. So I would say that's probably my most exciting work, Black Angels over Tuskegee. And I also been, over the couple years, I've been able to travel the world, believe it or not, just for acting. I've been to South Africa. I've been to the Ukraine. I've been state to state just from acting and staying in the game. And I've made so many connections and people in South Africa. I was on a call with a guy yesterday, and it's like as a brotherhood. And to me, that's what it's about. And even till now, I'm doing independent films. I'm writing my own films. I've done Law and Order. I've been on other TV shows. I'm so grateful. Anytime I get to do what I love to do, because I know what it took and I know the cost, but I just love working with other people. I love sharing a real experience on stage, and I love working on sets with other people. It's a real joy to me.
So wait a minute. So I like Law and Order. So tell me about your role on Law and Order.
Man, listen, they just had me be a cop. I want to get back on there in terms of reprise it, but I was a cop. I was just a cop assistant, the main character. And for me, it's a show that the world knows, and I've always looked at. You get Law and Order. It's a great milestone. It was a short scene, but it was a good experience to be on set with those people and learn and to continue to grow, hopefully do more work with everybody.
Okay. So for anyone that's just joining in now, we're with Anthony Goss, actor, off-Broadway, TV, plays, documentaries. So Anthony started out as a finance and accounting major at Bridgewater State College, went on to get a master's degree in business administration at Northeastern University, and went with something that he was feeling in his heart, moved to New York, found but before he moved, for those of you that didn't hear the beginning, he did his research first. and made sure that this was something that he wanted to do and knew what the next steps were, and took those steps and has been doing it ever since. So, Ant, how long have you been doing this?
5 years.
Okay, it's been 5 years now. Okay.
Coming up on 6 years. Yeah, coming up on 6.
Oh,
Woo!
I know. That's like, it's because Dwayne would always send me, like I said, he would text me something. And I know he said one time, "Oh, we need to go see Ant in this play," but then I don't know what had happened, and something had happened, and that didn't come about. But we had been talking about it, so he was always keeping me updated on what was going on with you in your career. And I just said, "Oh, that is like so cool," because a lot of times, I think one of the things you said at the beginning is that we get stuck in what we think we're supposed to do. And this is the way, and you just play by the book. And this is what we need to do because I need to make a living and I need to take care of business. And this is why I went to school. But then being able to step out like this and like you said, to fully come into yourself. That's really amazing to be able to do that. So what's on the horizon for you as far as the work that you're doing now?
Right now, it's been a lot of changes in terms of the industry as a whole, just for the world. But as an artist, I feel like since I've been learning about what artistry is and about myself, no matter what time period you're in, you still have a voice and you have a responsibility. And stories get to, for theater, they say theater holds we hold a mirror to society. So for me, I'm always looking for opportunities to work. I want to always, work and act in films and TV and plays. Right now, Broadway is closed actually I think right now, the latest I heard is until May. So there won't be any major theater, I would say probably April, May. There won't be any major theater. So that's been a major hit for not only me, but my fellow artists all over the world in New York. But you pivot. And I always say it's a great opportunity to develop your craft so that when you do get back on the stage, you're twice as better. You're not just idle. Like you're still researching, you're still doing everything like it's tomorrow to me. And I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of film work during this pandemic. I've just wrapped up a shoot, an independent film with a new film I just finished wrapping up that I worked on. I still get auditions, even though there's not as many because, TV productions and COVID, it's tricky because you got to get tested so often before you get on set. But I've still been fortunate enough to get auditions. I've been fortunate enough to work during this pandemic. I wrote a film. I was fortunate enough to shoot that in my home back in Boston. And I'm writing a lot more. I want to produce a lot of more films. And I'm learning that I love talking with the youth in terms of like people who want to act or people who are curious about how to get in the business. That's something I'm very passionate about. I'm learning. And that's something I want to continue to do in the future because I love what I do and I love what arts can do for me. But I know it's not just about that. It's so much bigger than art, acting, so much bigger than me. And any opportunity I get to act, I'm grateful for it, but I want it to mean something for me, my family, and for the youth, and just be the best. So continue to write projects, continue to be on film sets, continue to act, continue to perfect my craft, and just grow as a person and, try to be the best I can be on and off the stage or off the screen.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to contact you or follow you on social media, how could they do that?
Definitely Instagram is popular. I'm on there. My Instagram is at Ant Goss, ANTGOSS. So, I check that frequently. If somebody would send me a message or email me, if you're interested or if you just want to reach out, I have an email that people can email me if they feel like they want to, or even Facebook. I'm open to any type of communication or questions or anything.
Okay, and I'll make sure I put all of that information in the show notes so people will have it.
Okay.
I'll go back later on and add that to the show notes. So, folks, if you do want to get in touch with Ant, if you have questions about what he's doing, how he's doing it, we'll have his contact information for you in the show notes immediately after. So make sure you pay attention. And if you have questions, ask those questions. Folks are awfully quiet out there tonight. I don't know. It's starting, it's getting darker, and I thought, okay, everybody will be in the house and they'll just be here watching. But for those of you who are going to watch this on the replay, thank you so much for joining in on the replay. And again, make sure you share this out. We always have students or young folks that we know, or even older folks. You can always start a new career. I think it's important to be able to see people who are out there following their dreams and doing it in a way that works for them. And I think one of the things I really loved about what Ant said is that, this is hard. This is a grind. You have to work at this. This isn't something you just decide to do on a whim. But if you put your mind to it and you do the research, like he did the research, you'll be able to turn it around and you'll be able to turn it into something that you want it to do. So I really, really thank you for doing that. So, Ant, how are you taking care of yourself? What are you doing for self-care?
Great question. That's so important. I've learned being in New York and in general, self-care, especially as an actor, if I'm like constantly have to go through these emotional rides all the time, giving yourself to a character, you don't ask yourself, like, how am I feeling? You're always looking at how everybody around you is feeling on the character. So what I do often is, I try to meditate as much as possible. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of plays to get my imagination going. I take walks. I play basketball still. If I'm just getting some shots up just to kind of clear my head. I used to like to swim when everything was open. But definitely some peaceful time for myself. I like to meditate. I like to read. I write, and I make sure I'm taking care of my body health-wise, working out, eating good food as much as I can. But really just taking that personal space, not feeling like I have to strive every day, not feeling like I have to compete, feeling like I have to be seen all the time. I enjoy my personal development. I enjoy just taking time to really know how I'm feeling. And so that's how I kind of take my space, take care of myself, just by not feeling like I have to always be go, or be like this or that, or on everybody's whim. I like to kind of just, be centered and take care of myself so that I can be able to give myself to a character or be a good, friend, brother, father, whatever, when I want to be when the time comes, just in general.
Okay. So what advice would you give to a young person who is considering the field of acting?
Do your research. Seriously, people get this idea. This is for me. When I was watching films, it looks so easy because they make it look so easy, but it takes a lot of work to make it look easy. But I think anybody who wants to get into any field, acting, research what schools you want to go to, what teachers, what city you may want to be in, if it's not the city you're in. And then I watch a lot of videos of other actors who already been through, I want to go. So like people who I admire, like the Denzel Washingtons, or people who are acting, I watched their videos when they were, growing in an industry to kind of like see what they were doing. I always research. I say read. As an actor, 80% of what we do, or what I do, is research, because you get a script and you have to read the script, or you have to read the play. And then you have to know what's happening. Then you have to know your character. So the filming and the stage is 20%. It's most of it's reading and emotional and making sure your mind is in order, understanding the script. So I would say if you can read, you can start by just reading as many plays, read as many scripts. So many scripts are available online. I try to just read as many plays during the week. August Wilson is a great playwright who is my favorite playwright. And I try to read his stuff. I read it all. I just keep reading and research different classes you can take. Reach out to people who are in the business who's doing it. Like mentorship is huge. It's so big. Having a support system and people you can reach out to is very important. And I'm getting headshots so that, you know, when you send it to those casting directors, the first thing they see is like headshots. If you don't have a reel, which is like your video clip of your performances, at least, you know, have a headshot, maybe resume. If you don't have that, you got a phone where you can kind of create a reel for yourself and people can see you act. So it's a great time for anybody who wants to get in because, you know, there's ways in with technology nowadays.
Right. So right now, what is your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge as an actor, that is a great question. Wow. I would say an ongoing challenge for me is to always feel to not undermine or like if you to really step in and, you know, be present in the process. I think for me, staying level-headed when everything around you is you know, pandemic and everything, and it's kind of staying above everything that, you know, you're in this world where people keep saying things and industries this way and people are upset and not acting. My biggest challenge is to stay focused and to keep working on my craft. And I definitely want to get better at my film work. So it's just learn how to continue to work on my telling the truth on screen as an actor. Those are my biggest challenges. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that because every time I do one of these conversations, I always learn so much, whether it's about a particular field that somebody is entering or is working through, or just about you know, character building and work ethic and how, you know, putting your nose to the grindstone and doing those things always work out for you in the long run. They always do. And I love when people are doing work that they love. You know, you're going to be at work. And, you know, most of our lives is work. Let it be something that speaks to you. Let it be something that when you do it, you can do it joyfully. You know, and that it means something to you, and that it has a purpose. I love that you're. You know, I'm hoping that, you know, some young folks see this and say, "Hey, I can do that, but I have to work at it. I have to work at it." You know, because like you said, you see folks on TV or in movies, and they make it look easy, and we don't see what went on in the background. So I really thank you for sharing that. So folks, you know, I always like to talk about a book. And today I was like trying to, you know, really say, okay, what book? You know, I have thousands of them that, you know, most of them I still have to read. You know, I just keep buying more. But we're in a crazy place right now. We just went through an election. There's a lot of a lot of polarization in our country right now, and we've got a lot of work to do to get us back to a united States. So one of my books that I've had for a while that I really like is by Anne Lamott, and it's called Small Victories: Spotting Improbable Moments of Grace. And I love that subtitle because I really think that's what we have to work on right now. We have to find those those small, improbable moments of grace, because they're there. They're there everywhere, but we just have to be willing to open our eyes. We have to be willing to see them, and we have to be willing to act upon them. So for people that are looking for something to read, that's a little, for those of you that aren't familiar with Anne Lamott, she's funny. She's funny, and she writes in a way that is uh, not preachy, but I don't know. I just really like her. I just enjoy her work because I always feel uplifted
Mm.
after I read whatever she writes, and then plus she can say it in a funny way. And if you haven't seen her on, go to check. She has a great TED talk that she does. So go and check
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, she's pretty cool. So, Aunt, what would your dream project be in the next couple of years?
Ooh. So I mentioned August Wilson. So one of my dream projects would be to play one of his characters on Broadway, and on film, because they're starting to take his plays and adapt it for screenplays. And they're starting with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is coming out this year. But I love, for me personally, just because of history, August Wilson, and the culture, to play one of those characters on Broadway or on screen would be probably a dream project for me. Definitely one of those.
Yeah. I remember I've seen Fences, as a play, and then I remember watching the movie with Denzel and Viola Davis, and that was, oh my God, like you said, August Wilson's work is so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and still resonates today, still has a message that everyone can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
I love his work. So I'm thrilled that's one of your favorite playwrights. It was funny because his work didn't come to me until later on. But once I learned about what he was doing and had the opportunity to read his plays and to see his plays, it's fantastic. So I wish you the best of luck. I can't wait to get back to the movie theater and to be sitting there one day at my favorite little theater here in downtown Fayetteville, the Cameo Theater, which is an independent theater. I love sitting there one day with my popcorn and my other snacks and watching you on the screen in an August Wilson production. I would love that. I would love to see that. So we're going to put that out there in the universe.
Yes.
So that will happen. So I am so thrilled that I had this opportunity to talk to you this evening. And for folks that are watching, again, this is Anthony Goss, finance, accounting, business administration, turned actor, and making it work for himself. So for any of you that need to listen to this again, it is definitely going to be on my Facebook page. It's also on my YouTube channel, which is new to me this week. It's been live streaming to my YouTube channel. And I'm working with my fantastic webmaster, Katrina Alexander, so that I can start also streaming these to my website. So we're trying to get some things going here, folks. So again, Anthony, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. This has been fantastic. I've learned so much, and as I said, I will put your contact information in the show notes so that anyone that would like to reach out to you, they'll have that information. So again, thank you so much, and folks. I will see you next Monday at the same time. I won't have a guest because next week I'm actually going to the Independent Educational Consultants Association fall conference. Of course, it's virtual, so I'm going. I'll be sitting right here doing it, but I'll be doing it. So I'll be talking to you next Monday about some of the things that we've learned, and then some of the changes I'm thinking about making to college conversations, and I need to have your input on it. So make sure you tune in next Monday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, thank you so much to our guest, Anthony Goss. And we're out.